We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for remaining with us. You're watching the #1 business channel in East Africa, SMART24 TV, and we drive your business. Of course, now we're driving you into the financial markets world and getting to know what's happening up to speed, keeping you up to speed with what's happening on the continent as well as in the region. Now, I was looking at yesterday's stocks markets. Like I said in the first segment, we still had several stock exchanges losing on mainly their big indexes. Of course, these portray that the stock exchange is bleeding and many companies are still losing on their stock prices, especially for the stock price weighted or even the market capitalization weighted indexes. Starting off with Ghana. Ghana maintained its position, however, with nothing to gain or nothing to lose on the second day of trading, Tuesday. With the index, that is the OSHA index, the Ghana Stock Exchange Consumer Index is at 2,000 currently, 460.65 points. It maintains its position there. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange, on the other hand, lost a total about over 400.97 points on the J203. Which is the benchmark index for the listed companies in the South African Stock Exchange. And we are seeing currently it's standing at 69,038.35 points. The year-to-date loss is still currently about 6.34%, having lost about 4.671.04 points. But let's look further into Johannesburg Stock Exchange, as of course, this is the principal stock exchange in in South Africa, but also in Africa, being the largest and the oldest stock exchange, dating way back in the 1887s there. Now, the index here has about a couple of indexes, about 5 of them. We have the J200, we have the J201, J202, and these are divided or segmented depending on the size of companies in the exchange. We have those for the small cap companies, we have those for the mid cap, and then the larger cap as well. The J203, however, is the all share index that tracks the aggregate performance of all the listed companies on the exchange and represents about 99% of the full market capitalization of all eligible equities listed on the main board of the exchange. On this second day of trading, Johannesburg had about 325 companies participate in trading out of the 421 that are listed, and the day ended with 166 gainers and 130 losers on this day. Jesco Electronic Holdings was the top gainer at 21.43%. Share price appreciation closing at 0.17 South African Rand. We also had Investec PLC, or Public Limited Company, preferences shares rand at about 17.84% price appreciation, and Europa Metals at 16.67%. These were some of the top movers there. However, the data here shows about 14% decline in the volume on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and a 17% decline in the turnover. And eventually the current market capitalization was also pushed a little bit slightly downwards to 19.5 trillion rand, that is South African rand there. And currently we had about 246 million shares that were traded. These were a contraction from the day before, that was Monday. And that's generally it from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The J203, like I said, inched up a little bit to about 0.19%, but that is by about 134.13 points in terms of gaining on this particular index, which tracks the aggregate performance of all the listed companies on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Looking at other stock exchanges, Nigeria in particular lost also a huge value there, over 807.83 points on its all-share index. Now, in the second day of trading, about 107 companies participated from Nigerian Stock Exchange in trading, and the day ended with just 13 gainers and 19 losers. Unity Bank led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 0.44 Nigerian Nairas per share, followed by Thomas Wyatt Nigeria at an 8.57%. Jay's Bank also added about 6.38% on its stock price. These were some of the top movers in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Compared with the previous day, however, on the other hand, there was an improvement in volumes, actually, about 142% improvement in the number of shares that were traded, and about 17% improvement in the amount of money that was transacted, or what we call the turnover for the day. Currently, the market capitalization for Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at 23.7 trillion Nigerian Nairas. Regarding the all-share index, we had a decline, of course, like I mentioned, at about 807 points that were lost, down to 43,461 points there on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And in terms of 1 week, the exchange has lost 0.65%, and in 4 weeks lost about 8.363%, and an overall year-to-date gain of about 1.74%. So Nigerian Stock Exchange is one of those very few stock exchanges still enjoying the year-to-date gain. Quite a rare thing to see in most of the stocks here that were, of course, affected by the many economic problems or wars of 2022, affecting, of course, their year-to-date performance. But Nigeria is one of those stock exchanges that has tried to maintain a very good year-to-date performance. However, we're seeing declines in 1 week and 4-week performance indicators there on the exchange. Very quickly, let's get to Uganda Stock Exchange and have a look at our local stocks here and how the markets played out for the companies here in Uganda. Now, Uganda Stock Exchange has 18 companies that are listed currently on the stock exchange, and out of these, only 5 participated in trading yesterday. Now, we had about 1 gainer and just about 6 losers, very many losers, and that's the imbalance we're talking about now on the Uganda Stock Exchange. And also, a very unfortunate bit here is that most of these are cross-listed companies that actually had influence in terms of gaining and losing on the stock exchange. However, the top movers were local stocks, and these were led by Stanbic Bank Uganda. Stanbic continues to be one of the biggest performers, despite the fact that many of the counterparts here are facing it rough, but it has maintained daily activity and coming in as a top mover for the markets yesterday as well. At an 88,900 total number of shares that were traded, it came out as the biggest trader for the day. And he was followed by Wumeme, also who returned to activity after some period of silence, about a week or so, to about 30,678 shares on the market that were traded on the second day of trading. MTN Uganda had close to 30,350 shares that were transacted, and Uganda Clays had about 18,100 shares that were transacted on the stock exchange here in Uganda. Well, regarding the performance of the benchmark index, which of course tracks the aggregate performance for all the listed companies on the stock exchange, we had a 7.42 points drop on the index here, closing at about 1,232 points. This was a 0.6% decline, representing a 1-week loss of 1.99% and a 4-week gain of 1.02%. So we're still appreciating on our 4-week or 1-month performance. and the year to date is still getting worse. And currently we are staying at 13.25% lost on the year to date performance here at the Uganda Stock Exchange. The Uganda Securities Exchange Local Company Index, which basically tracks the aggregate performance for the domestically listed companies, decreased about 0.03% and closed at 268.8 points there, making a 1 week loss of 1% and a 4 week loss of 1.29%, and a year to date loss of 17.21% there on the stock exchange. Of course, local companies haven't also had a smooth ride over the last couple of days, but still some of them are keeping on in terms of trading and also getting to maintain their price. At least we're seeing companies trying to maintain. Where we are losing on smaller margins, but where we are performing well, it's still been a smaller margin for the local companies. Now, MTN was a loser. I have to note that amongst the losers there, we had MTN lose from about 180. We had about 180.2 something, 0.23, coming from 180.23 to 180.14. This was a small, like I said, small decrease, but still affected the local company index. And currently, rather MTN still sells at 180.14 points, or Ugandan shillings, which is one of the lowest prices for the last 2 quarters of the year 2022 on the MTN stock price here. We had, for example, Umeme, who had also a good volume, but maintained their price at 200 shillings on the stock market. Now let's get to look at Stanbic, the top mover here, and see where Stanbic could lead us. Now we had 88,900 shares transacted on Stanbic Bank at a turnover of 1.87 million Ugandan shillings. The shares outstanding currently are 51.2 billion shares with a market capitalization of 1.07 trillion Ugandan shillings. And currently, when you look at Stanbic Bank Uganda, it is the most traded on stock on the Uganda Stock Exchange in the last 3 months. We're talking about a company that has traded close to 1.42 billion Ugandan shillings worth of shares in the last 3 months. Just let that sink, because looking at their share price, for example, 21.0 Ugandan shillings. This is a financial institution, and of course, most of the financial institutions on the stock market are very, very highly priced. You're looking at, for example, Equity Bank at over 1,500, and you're looking at maybe KCB at over 1,200 shillings. You're looking at maybe, let's see, Bank of Baroda, which comes in as also a smaller cap and also kind of more affordable, but still at a much more expensive price, 85 shillings. And Stanbic Bank at 21.0 shillings can pull off about 1.42 billion turnover in terms of the amount of money that was transacted on the company within 3 months, which is a pretty good performance there. They have had a volume average now over 1 million shares per trading session, 1.08 million to be specific in this period, and their biggest volume has been 53 million shares on the stock market, which was achieved on the 20th of October 2022. Well, Stanbic is still offering you very many chances here for gain, especially next year. And if you're looking at also their dividend policy, they have a very good dividend policy where they are one of the leading companies in terms of being consistent issuers of dividends back to their shareholders. So you can be assured, rest assured that Stanbic will definitely provide you with a dividend. And if you're looking in terms of gaining a passive income through a dividend, definitely Stanbic is one company for you there. That's it from Stanbic Bank. I won't look into Uganda craze, but let me have a look at Wumeme. Was also one of the top movers for the markets here. And Wumeme had a price of 200 shillings at the beginning of the day and closed with the same price. Currently, Wumeme stock is valued at about 325 billion on the stock exchange. And currently, this represents about 1.53% of the entire Uganda stock exchange. This means Wumeme is the 10th most valuable on the stock exchange here in Uganda. Now, yesterday they had a volume of about 30,678 shares that were transacted and a gross turnover of 6.14 million shares, rather 6.14 million Ugandan shillings. And when you look at their year-to-date performance, they are still performing quite well and ranking the second best in terms of year-to-date, as they have gained 5.82% on their share price, which they began at about 189.0 Ugandan shillings and currently are counting 200 shillings worth of a share at the company. And so when you come and look also at their aggregate performance in terms of activity, they are the second most traded on stock on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Currently valued, when you look at their total volume of shares, they're traded about 20.6 million shares in the last 3 months, valued at over 4.11 billion. So Stanbic comes first in terms of when you look at the turnover and also looking at some of the, rather when you look at the number of shares or the volumes, but when you look at the turnover, still Wumeme comes in the first position. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, from the Uganda Stock Exchange. And definitely you can keep updated on this data by watching SMART24 TV. We always do have those lower thirds down there. We do have data coming in for the stock prices of the different companies. You can look underneath your screen there. You will be able to see the different companies that are listed, their stock prices, and how you can also look at the top stories that are making headlines on that squeeze back as well for your latest on the financial markets. Now, before I go, in my hands here is the third quarter bulletin for the Capital Markets Authority, which we shall be getting to break down for you. This is the third quarter bulletin for the Capital Markets Authority, which is the regulator of the capital markets in Uganda. And this is for the quarter ended September 2022. We will be getting to analyze and break down some of the content in this report because it's very, very pertinent to you and to me, as of course people looking and are interested in getting into the financial markets and getting to trade, especially on the stock market here in Uganda. You can visit the website of the Capital Markets Authority to also get yourself a copy so that we can follow through together. And as I get the data here, you also get to refer to your data and we get to spot some of the opportunities, some of the loopholes as well in our market and see if we can address them or we can put them to the people that can actually address some of these issues. Remember, this show is all about getting your savings and putting them to use. Get those savings. First of all, you need a source of income. You need something to get you money. But then what keeps your money? You need something that keeps your money. And the best way to keep money is getting to invest that money. Thank you very much for watching and definitely catch you tomorrow. Remember to get to check out the Capital Markets Authority bulletin online, www.capitalmarketsauthorityquarterlybulletin.com for that particular insight into the third quarter earnings for the different companies, third quarter performances of the bond market, and all things concerning financial markets here in Uganda. I'll catch you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, same time, same place. Stay tuned on SMART24 TV. Many more stuff is coming up. And of course, we drive your business. Bye for now.